So I've had my Panasonic S52X full frame camera for a little over a year now, and that's what I'm shooting this video with right now. And before this, I actually had the Sony a7 IV full frame camera. And the main reason why I moved back to Panasonic was because of video autofocus. And prior to my Sony camera, I actually had a Panasonic G85 Micro Four Thirds camera. And the main reason why I moved to Sony was because of video autofocus. And the reason why I want to start off with that is because, well, that's what Panasonic has been known for in a very bad way, because their video autofocus has been historically unreliable and practically unusable. But it wasn't until the S5 II and then the S5 IIX and all the Panasonic cameras since then that they've finally given people what they want, and that is a phase detect hybrid autofocus system. And well, I am really happy with this, and multiple firmware updates later, I could safely say that the Panasonic video autofocus is awesome. And I would say it's near what Sony has to offer, and I would think in a very short amount of time, Panasonic has done a wonderful job in providing really great, reliable video autofocus. So with all of that being said, I actually want to talk about how Sony, I think, is losing out to Panasonic. And I know there's other camera brands, but for me, Panasonic looks like they're going to be the one camera brand that's going to take over a lot of these other brands. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not even for the next few years, but little by little, you could see things changing. And what I use as a gauge is YouTube, because there's a lot of creators on YouTube and other platforms that use Sony cameras. And I know there are professionals that use Sony cameras as well, but at least for me, that's what I look to when I'm looking at what cameras people use. And for a lot of people, it's just by default, just get a Sony. But nowadays, I'm thinking to myself, what does Sony really offer nowadays? Now, with my Sony a7 IV full frame camera, it had a lot of great features. But the one thing that just really bothered me is the simple fact that they didn't really provide you much more after you got your camera. And I'm specifically talking about firmware updates, because whenever I had my Sony a7 IV camera, it did have a few firmware updates, software updates, but it wasn't really anything that improved the overall experience of the camera. It was mostly bug fixes, app updates. But with my Panasonic S5 IIX, it has multiple updates, and it really provides a lot of features that makes this camera feel like a new camera. Things like LUT support, hybrid zoom, the ability to do backup recordings on proxy. There's so many features that they're providing. HDMI out, RAW support, Blackmagic, ProRes support internally. Just, it keeps going on and on. And even though not all of these features are available on every Panasonic camera, it just shows you that Panasonic, above other brands, specifically measured against Sony, they're doing something that these other brands aren't. And that's quite simply giving customers what they want and giving them a lot of things that actually improve the overall experience of their investment. And I think if Panasonic continually does this, which they have been doing for a long time, and now they actually have really reliable video autofocus, I think it's just a matter of time when other people start seeing what they're able to do, that, well, Sony might not be the default anymore. And if Sony doesn't offer more improvements, more innovation, and more support for the customers that they're actually selling to, well, I think more and more people are going to discover that maybe there's something better. And hopefully it'll be with Panasonic. I am a big proponent of Panasonic because they offer so much value for the money, and I feel they truly care. And that says a lot about a brand. And at the same time, just from a technical point of view, they offer me everything that I need, so then I don't really need to think about anything else except creating. And that's the whole point of all of these things. You just use these as tools to create. And if a brand makes it easier for you to do that, especially for the money that you're spending, then I'm all for it. So that is just my video on my experience with the Panasonic camera and how I kind of feel that Sony is losing out, because honestly, they just don't care as much as you would hope. So if you actually had any thoughts on this, be sure to leave it in the comments area below, and I'll see you on another episode.